Good evening. It is Thursday, June 13th, 2024, and coming to you from Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Tacoma, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
Well, what happened? Sorry, it's a little technical. They're here.
I didn't think they were going to show up.
They're here.
Gotta let them in.
I know, right? I mean, the tickets were free, so.
There was a problem with the ticket scanning machine, though, so they were all late getting in.
Like 2 seconds late.
2 seconds late.
It was just 2 seconds behind.
Everyone got in really fast.
Yeah.
Once the ticket scanning.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, it's technical difficulty thing. So, yeah, I don't even know. We got a few things we want to talk about today. Just got a small set of topics, but we'll see how it goes. But one of those things we're going to do, and I'm hoping to do every show now, is to have our TF5 segment. True or false? 5 questions for Parker. Well, they're for both of us. We're going to both answer, but you're going to answer first. So you get the first shot at the questions. But 5 true or false questions. Today, it's about the NFL, the upcoming NFL season. We haven't talked about it much. We're going to. NBA Finals, we're going to talk about that here in a minute. F1 is happening. U.S. Open, round 1, I think, was today. And it just totally slipped my mind that the U.S. Open was even a thing, like they did that anymore. Golf, I haven't been watching enough golf. Have you been watching your golf lately? Your daily recommended allowance of golf?
I'll be honest with you, I have not watched any golf. However, I have gone to the range like 3 or 4 times a week for the last couple of weeks. So
okay. Well, I mean, that counts, right?
Yeah, it's something.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see.
if you're a golf fan and you're paying attention, the U.S. Open is at Pinehurst. Pinehurst number 2, one of the most iconic golf courses in golf. And Patrick Cantlay is and Rory McIlroy. Okay, it's a tie, so let me just get them both in there. Patrick Cantlay, Rory McIlroy tied at -5 after the first round. Second round starts tomorrow morning at like dark 30. If you're on the West Coast, they tee off like freaking 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's really early to me. That's one of the sucky things. The first 2 rounds, like it's random, right? So you get paired with a guy, and well, it's 2 guys usually, and then they throw you out at whatever time, right? You got to draw on tee time, and it's just that's your tee time. And then the second day, the tee times are changed. But then after that, it's based on how well you did. So if you just barely make the cut, you get the crappy tee time, the super early in the morning tee time on Friday
super late?
or on Saturday. What? No, you get the super early one because the leaders they want to go last. So
Really?
Yep, leaders go last. Leaders are always the last ones because the leader then, whoever was leading the round, gets to watch everyone else is ahead of him. So
They know what they need to do.
They know what they need to do.
I get the logic behind that, but also if I'm the leader, I want to choose because I don't want to go last of the day. I want to go whatever time makes the most. I want to roll out of bed and call and say, I think I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way though. So
No,
yeah.
thanks to ESPN, it can't.
No. So pretty much whoever was whoever was the worst goes off first in the third and fourth rounds.
Yeah.
So is what it is. Well, you get to sleep in that way if you're the leader.
Well, it's true. You do get to have
Right.
a later day, but still, it's like, come on, man. I want to decide.
Yeah,
Don't make me go at the end.
I
The sun's setting. I've had all day to sit here and watch golf. I'm tired of golf.
Do you think they get tired of golf?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I don't.
So I feel like there are elements to it that they don't get tired of. Meaning, like, I feel like you get tired of playing football for free or paying to play football, but the moment somebody hands you $1 million, you find a renewed interest in it.
It's different then.
Yeah. So I feel like there are a bunch of guys out there who aren't like your top 50 guys, and they're a little tired of golf.
Yeah.
But maybe your top 50 guys make enough money to where it all pays for it, so it's okay.
I'm just going to say this. So far this year, Scotty Scheffler's caddy has won more money than any other player on the PGA Tour outside of Scotty Scheffler.
Really?
Yep. So,
interesting.
yeah, he's made a lot of crap. Well, he can't lose. I mean, the guy wins every damn event just about. So, yeah I mean, it's been amazing. But, I don't know. I like watching golf at times. there are other times when I just, I can't just sit there because it's like sometimes it's like super boring, and some of the golf is so bad that, I mean, not bad, but bad by pro standards, right? And
Right.
you're like, okay, that guy, that shot, I could do better than that, right? And you're like, yeah, maybe once. But Scotty Scheffler, by the way, is tied for 34th at 1 over after the first round. He's going off at 4:29 a.m. Pacific time, but that's what 7:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that bad. But
I just feel like golf needs some more fun, which is what live is, right? Live
right,
is fun golf.
yeah,
Um, and the issue is that like you've got these super straight laced, super buttoned up guys like, well, I mean, I say buttoned up guys like Scheffler, but he's out here assaulting cops, so we'll see. But
well,
Rory
allegedly,
McIlroy, Cantley's pretty buttoned up, Finau, like they're all boring.
yeah,
Then you got guys like Bryce and DeChambeau walking out with the pythons and ripping them. Like he's kind of fun. Brooks is a sassy dude. He's kind of fun.
yeah.
But for the most part,
But those are live golfers.
those are live golf. That's why they wanted them because they know
Yeah.
they're fun.
Right.
They know they've got more
Yeah,
I don't know, whatever it is. But I find, you know how sometimes we talk about F1 races, we talk about how they're boring and
Yeah.
that the qualifying was more exciting.
yeah.
It's because it's like a microcosm of racing. Like what was the Open that just happened where DeChambeau was fighting with Schauffele on the final hole?
Well, they were competing at the Masters.
Was that the Masters?
Yeah.
I feel like
I got to pull. So,
But they were
Bryson
was
weren't
ahead going into the final hole, final round or
maybe.
whatever.
That could have been. I don't know. Scheffler ended up winning it at -4. There were only, DeChambeau, or at -11. Sorry, DeChambeau finished way back. It was a runaway in the end for Scheffler, but DeChambeau was in there at the beginning of the round.
That's not the tournament. That's
No?
not the event I'm thinking of.
I don't know.
It was more recent than April 11th to 14th. It was sometime in May.
Excuse me. Sorry. So the PGA Championship.
PGA Championship
Yeah.
sounds more like it.
Yeah, that was
Because that was
Valhalla.
down to DeChambeau and
Schauffele.
Schauffele.
Yeah.
That guy.
And
And that was exciting to watch for one hole
Right.
because it was like, who's going to win?
Yeah.
But
Well,
then
yeah.
after that, it was like,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. That's it. That's what golf does. Is it? It's more. I think it's more fun to play than it is to watch. But when it's fun to watch, it's really fun to watch. But that's usually a short period of the event.
it's true. Yeah, it's true. It's
From a competitive standpoint, you can always watch it and appreciate it, right? You can
Yeah.
always be like, "Oh, what a good shot!
Yeah,
Oh, look at
yeah.
that!"
Yeah, but they could just show me the highlights. I don't have to watch, him lining up his shot or talking to his caddy for 6
Right.
hours or any of that stuff. I don't need to watch a guy, bent down lining up his putt for 3 minutes while
Hear me
he's-
out. What if we put a pitch clock
They have a timer.
Well, no, I'm talking like 15 seconds.
No, yeah, that'd be great. But they don't. Yeah, you have a little longer than that. There's a timer though.
I want to see who's got the best eyes and the best total instincts the fastest.
The fastest. So what I think they should do is have a totally separate golf league, and that would be that it combines not only your score but your time. And
Ooh, so if you shot 20 under, but you took 50 more minutes than the next
right,
guy,
right. So there's a set standard time, right?
rate
And-
of play.
Right, set standard time for every 10 minutes you're under that, it takes a stroke off.
I like that.
Something like that. And
I like
the
that.
problem you have is you can't run it the same way you run a regular tournament. You can't have everybody out there all at once because these people are going to want to run and fly around the golf course. So
Yeah, you're behind other people.
yeah, so it has to be done sort of individually.
It's like qualifying. I mean, it's your individual lap time on this course.
But yeah, if you could limit it to like 20 golfers, 18. How about 36? You could get 36 golfers, one on the tee, right? You know what I mean? 36
Yeah.
golfers could probably be out there at the same time. Maybe not. I don't know. But
How many golfers are in a normal tournament?
Oh gosh, I don't know. In the Open here, there's 156.
Why?
Is that right? Yeah, 156.
Why?
Because they qualified. There's
Do we think-
qualifiers.
That numbers 50 through 156 have a chance?
I mean,
Like, it happens every once in a while, right?
it
Real Cinderella
depends.
story,
It
but
depends. I mean, not a great chance. Um, but it's the U.S. Open is a true open in that there you can qualify for it. You don't have to be invited like the Masters. The Masters has invitations, and so if you won a PGA Tour event in the last year, you're invited. Okay, so you
yeah,
automatically get an invitation. If you're a past Masters champion, you're invited. If you're a U.S. Open winner from the last 5 years, you're invited. That kind of thing. So there's some guys qualify multiple times. Well, I won the Masters last year. I won the U.S. Open 2 years ago, and I'm in the top 12 of the money list, right, or whatever, and I automatically get it invited 3 times, right?
right.
But some guys, it only takes one thing. Well, the reigning U.S. amateur champion, the reigning U.S. senior amateur champion, the reigning, whatever. But they have all these different people that automatically qualify for
Yeah.
for the Masters that way. But in the U.S. Open, you, I'm talking about you specifically, can go out and qualify for the U.S. Open.
Yeah, at a regional event. I've watched
Yeah,
Happy
there's a way
Gilmore.
for you to get in there, but you know, that's there's so many people. They have a
See,
huge
it's the only
field.
reason I'm thinking about taking up golf is that
Yeah,
way I can try and get one of those giant checks.
giant check, giant checks. That's right. That's all
Yeah,
you need.
take it to a big
Big
bank.
bank, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, there's people playing. Tiger shot a +4 today.
Yeah,
Phil Mickelson +9. Right. So there's guys in
there's some
here.
legacy guys in there that shouldn't be playing.
Right. Well, but I mean, Dustin Johnson +4 today. Right. I mean, he's not like over the hill golf wise.
Say, how old is Dustin Johnson? He's like in his 40s, right?
I mean, what are we talking here? How he was born in '84. So yeah, he's 39.
Yeah, he's 30. How old is Tiger Woods by comparison?
50.
Ooh,
I don't.
that's a good question. I
I
don't know how old Tiger
where
Woods
where
is.
have I got him? Where's he at here?
I'm pulling up right here. He's 48.
Oh, he's only 48. There you go.
He's 48. So I guess he's only 9 years older than him.
Yeah. I mean, but these guys are. But Tiger's almost a senior. He's almost senior tour, right?
Ooh,
50.
oh, he's gonna crush the senior tour.
I don't know. He's in bad
Even with a
shape.
bad back.
He's in bad shape though. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Anyway, but yeah, you know what? I think they could do something to golf and make it more exciting. You're right. They should because it's just like baseball was,
Yeah.
and that is boring. Number one,
Oh, I have an idea.
what?
3 lifelines. So, but except you use them on your opponent. Meaning, one of them is, okay, I'm going to call this now. I'm putting the card in. Your caddy has to take your shot. One of them is
Hmm.
I get to pick from a pool of fans, qualified fans. So let's say they're people who didn't make the Open because it filled up, but maybe they were eligible or something like that. Like one of them has to take the shot.
Okay.
Maybe that's on a rotating list. And the third one is your wife has to take the shot.
Your wife.
But they're lifelines that you
What if they're not
use
married?
on your opponent. And if they're not married, well, then I don't know. We got to work that up.
What?
It's not a flawless system.
No.
And then you get one veto card around to stop somebody's play on you. Basically, it's like you're playing a card game out there. Like
It's
I'm
Uno.
watching you line up for an easy 4-foot putt, and I
Yeah.
slap the card down, and I want your wife to take that putt.
Yeah, I think it sounds a lot like Uno attack, right? Just
Kinda, yeah.
oh yeah, well you're about to shoot. Oh well, here draw 4 of these cards,
Here,
and
drop 4 of these cards.
you get 4 extra shots now because, and,
Oh, what if that third one instead of the wife one is I get to pick your club?
I mean
That
that would be
would be fun.
exciting. That would be exciting. This sounds like a special, though a golf special more than a league or a tournament. You know what I mean? You'd have
I
to
think
have
this
like
is a game I just want to make and
right
create it
and
sell
invite
it to,
someone to
golfers,
invite
that way
some
they
guys
can
to come play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so I don't know. Just have maybe on a certain hole, there's one former professional or one other guy professional, and he hits the drive for both of you, or he hits the approach shot for both of you. You know, you don't get to hit it; he gets to hit it, and something like that. I don't know. It'd be kind of fun.
There's already a game. It's called Bad Cards for FORE Good Golfers.
Ah,
Apparently, it's a card game where you
on the
have a
golf course.
deck. Yep. There are
Oh,
five types of cards. Sucks for you, attack, party, hold on, and a hell yeah card.
hell yeah.
I don't know what these are, but I I I like this. I'm gonna buy this for. I'm just looking at one here. It says personal scramble worst ball. Hit 2 balls at each shot. Take the worst ball. Includes putting.
That would be fun. But this is why the guys in front of you are taking 6 hours to play golf
Because they're all hitting
because they're
4 balls each
well
and
they're playing
stuff.
the damn game and drinking at the same time. So
Oh my gosh, they have
yeah.
they have expansion packs. They have the drinking rules pack. They have the Mas Fiesta expansion pack.
Moss Fiesta. Oh, I like it. This is good. This is good stuff. All right, let's move on from the golf, which we weren't going to talk about.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the NBA. Let's talk about the NBA. The Celtics and Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are not who we thought they were. Although I guess maybe they are who I thought they were. They,
I was saying not that
I
far off.
I don't I didn't think they were. I don't think they're the best team in the West by any stretch. I think Luka was the best player in the playoffs until now, right? He
Right.
might still be. But the Celtics are up 3 games to 0, and they're 1 win away tomorrow. They play tomorrow night in Game 4 from being one of the best playoff records ever in playoff history.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they win tomorrow night, and by the way, it's 5:30 on ABC tomorrow night in Dallas. Dallas is a 1.5 point favorite. Probably just because they think the Celtics will blow one off to go win at home, but I don't know if
I
that's.
think they will. Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I just go win the dang thing. I mean, there's if you blow Game 4, just say, oh, I'm not. We're gonna rest everybody. We're gonna come home and
Sell
win
your
it,
tickets. Yeah.
and we're gonna win it on our home court, and you don't, right? Win Game 5. Now you got to go back
Uh-huh.
on the road for Game 6 after having lost 2 straight. It becomes a mental thing, and I don't think you want to do that. I think you just want to go out and win the dang thing. Just win it. Get it over with. But what do I know? No one lets me coach. But if Boston wins tomorrow night, they will have gone 16-2 in the playoffs, and it's like the second best record ever. The Warriors went 16-1 one year.
Yeah.
So, which led me to the question: what's the most amount of games you can lose and still win the championship? Right. Well, the answer is
It'd be 3 around, right?
right. So the answer is 12.
Well,
So,
yeah.
so I was wondering if anybody ever lost 12, which has not happened. The answer is 10. By the way, it was the Celtics.
Huh. Well, I mean, they've played in 18 of the
Yeah,
50 finals that there have been, or whatever. So
it was the 07, I think that's right. 07 Celtics.
yeah.
They went 16-10, which is a lot of losses. I mean, that means you got to go 7 games for 2-year series and 6 games in 2-year series. So that's a lot of basketball to still win. That's a lot of basketball games. Anyway, but that was just the thing. I don't think there's any doubt we think Boston's going to win.
Uh-huh.
You think they'll win tomorrow night? Or do you think they'll give it up?
I think they're going to lose tomorrow night, but that's only so that way they can take it back home and win it in front of their fans.
Okay.
Because they've pissed away games for so long. We might as well pissed away playoffs for so long. For like
Right.
last 4 years, they should have been a finals team. They were a finals team last year, but they should have been in more finals than just the one. But they
Right.
kept pissing away playoff series. So I think they're going to bring it back home.
Okay.
And they'll win it there. So
Okay.
still think it'll look quote unquote competitive, but I don't know.
Matt,
It's good. I don't think it matters because I think Boston has a stacked team that's
Yeah.
sitting $40 million over the salary cap,
yeah.
and which, by the way, that is the salary of Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Kristaps Porzingis or Drew Holiday, any
Right.
of those guys. But they're sitting $40 million over the salary cap, so they bought a title. They
Yeah.
bought a title with a lot of high dollar value players. I mean, this reminds me exactly of the Warriors recipe.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
a good little core and buy your pieces.
Yeah. I can go along with that.
Yeah. Oh, and the East sucks.
And the,
The East is terrible.
yeah, the East is terrible. They were
This is going back to the LeBron days of when LeBron used to just run through the East, and everyone was like, "Who did you play?"
the Celtics are by far better than anybody in the East.
They
Um,
definitely are.
But I don't
agree
think
with
this is the best competition out of the West. The Mavericks just kind of got lucky to be there. things kind of fell their way. I think it would have been better. I don't know. It would have been a better matchup with any of the other top teams. To be honest with you, I mean, Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota.
I
I,
feel like Denver would have been the one that made the most sense.
yeah,
I feel like Oklahoma City was young and they overachieved this year,
yeah,
and I feel like next year they're going to get a dose of reality.
probably.
Um, Minnesota would have been interesting because you wouldn't have had half the inside stuff. But I feel like Denver was kind of was kind of a surprise that they played down as much as they did. The Mavs are a 5 seed. They're not even one of the 4 best teams in the West.
Right.
So
Min-
they're a 5 seed playing a 1 seed.
I think
The other 5 seed is the Magic. So that's comparison.
I think that, well, and yeah, the West was back to being way better than the East this year. I think that Minnesota would have been the best matchup, honestly, because of the defensive side of it. I mean,
I would
Minnesota's,
love to have seen Ant on Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum.
yeah, that would have been interesting. Because the Maverick, or not the Mavericks, the Timberwolves had the best, defense in terms of scoring defense in the NBA.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a better matchup just to watch. But Minnesota doesn't score can't score like Oklahoma City. They can't score like Indiana did. They can't score even score like Boston. Boston scores 100.
Well, that's how they kept blowing games to Denver.
Yeah.
I think I read something after like 4 games in that series, Denver led for like a total of like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, that was awful.
But they were up like 3-1.
Yep. Yeah, it was awful.
It was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, because it was after 4 games, it was 2-2. Denver took a 3-2 lead, and then eventually beat them 4-2. Okay, that's what it was. But yeah, but I did just see here, 157 times a team has lost the first 3 games in a best-of-7 NBA playoff series. Not a single one has ever come back to win.
Nope.
And only 4 of those 157 have even forced a game 7.
And
This
one's not going to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that this is going to be. I think that they'll drop the one to the Mavs, tomorrow just to get it back home. I see it every couple of years, and then they'll win it at home, no problem. I think they're going to win handily at home because everyone's going to be going 3/4 speed tomorrow. They'll have a lot of gas in the tank for the next one,
All right.
which of course is a week and a half away, as you know.
Yeah, that's so bad. It drags on for so long.
I was actually reading about it. It's been going on this way since the early 90s. Like since MJ and the Bulls started making runs, they've been doing the finals specifically, not the rest of the playoffs, but the finals specifically have been kind of taking place over like a 3-week period.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't like it. I mean, let's get it over with. The season should be. I think the players would appreciate having the season over with. Maybe I'm wrong.
I hope we don't care what the players think about this one. I'll tell you this, from a fan standpoint, I want to see the best game, and the best game usually involves healthy players, and more days of rest means more healthy players. Because if I'm going to spend $15,000 on a ticket to go to one of these games and sit in an okay seat, I want to make sure the guy I want to see is playing. And if the games are back to back, they do home and home, and then they travel, then home and home, then travel, then there's a strong chance you could miss a guy for 3 games.
Can Luka Doncic win the finals MVP without winning a game in the finals?
No.
So
how many times has that happened? Didn't it happen in one of the LeBron games?
I don't even know if it's ever happened. I'm just saying, I feel like that he's probably the best player in the series. I mean, 33.9 points a game, 33, 9, and 9. I mean, the guy's averaging almost a triple-double in a losing effort every night. It's pretty good. Jason Tatum, sure, you can give him the MVP if you want. I mean, but I don't know. He's not the best player if that's what the criteria is. Most valuable to your team, right? Because let's be honest, without Luka, what are the Mavericks, right? So, yeah. So,
although it looks like it's only happened once in history, and that was Jerry West, who recently passed away. Jerry West won Finals MVP in 1951.
Not
1951. Sorry, I read that wrong. I jumped back a page too far. 1969. Scored 42 points and 13 rebounds and 12 assists while playing with a groin injury. Because who gives a crap about next year's contract in 1969?
Because it was only $10.
Because it was only $10. This dude sold cars in the offseason.
Right.
at Jerry West Ford. I don't know if that's a real thing, but it sounds like it was.
Ford Lincoln Mercury. He sold all of them,
West Ford Lincoln Mercury.
right?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Located on Rodeo Drive
I don't know.
because he was a Laker. So
It could be. I mean, this all could be true. We don't know. We just, this is, we're going to say probably true. Anyway,
that's right.
yeah, I don't know. All right. Well, I wish this had been more competitive. I wish the finals was a little better. I like watching the NBA finals, but all I've done is see, unlike this one picture that's on here right now of Luca getting stripped and crying. That's what's happened, and that's what this series has become. Is the Celtics clearly better, and there's no answer. There's just no answer. Dallas looks like they've got a game, or looks like they're in the game, and then all of a sudden they lay an egg. Like last game, they lay an egg in the third quarter. They just can't do anything, and then it's over. And you're like, same way the Pacers. The Pacers were probably the biggest competition that the Celtics had, and they blew two big leads, right, in games that I mean, that could have changed the series if they win those two games. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it hasn't been competitive, and I want to see really competitive. And the games have been okay, just not, you know, you don't ever really feel like Dallas is going to win, you know?
No, they get a little close at the end. They start to kind of give you like that little bit of hope, like, oh, maybe. And then no.
No, and then no.
But I mean, last year's final wasn't competitive either.
No.
Last year's finals was a 3-0 Nuggets team
Yeah.
who lost the game to the Heat.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
so yeah, or actually I think they lost the second game to the Heat. But that's still insured. It doesn't matter which one you lose. It still ensures you play the final one at home.
To be fair, playoff Jimmy Butler is not finals Jimmy Butler. He does everything before
It's not healthy.
before we get to the finals.
All right, what was the last good finals? I'm looking back. It wasn't Celtics Warriors the year before. Suns Bucks 2021. That one was pretty darn good. That was a 6-game series.
Yeah, I mean, it depends
The
on
bubble was
what your bar is. You know what I mean?
you know it's you know it when you see it. It's like a battle. It's really exciting to watch. I think you got to go back to 2018 Warriors Cavs, or not, maybe not 2018, 2017.
Yeah,
Something
well,
like that. Yeah, you start digging back into those Warriors Cavs because since then it's been Warriors Raptors, and the Raptors won, and they kind of walked away with that because the Warriors limped into it. Then you had the
Yeah.
bubble playoffs, which no one cares about, and then it's been fairly one-sided ever since. I think, like I said, I think that only exception is the 2021 finals, which was Suns Bucks, because that was a 7-game series or a 6-game series, and I think that was pretty competitive all the way through.
Yeah, I could get behind that. The I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. There's been some good series that have like gone 7 games, but the games weren't close, right? And so
Yeah.
even though you're back and forth, you're not back and forth in the game. You really want is that series where every game is close and it goes 7 games, right? That's what you're looking for. There haven't been very many of those. 2013 Spurs Heat. The Heat win Game 6 in overtime to even the series 3-3. That's a good one. That was a good series to watch, just in general. Not all of the games were close. So the game 1 was a 4-point game. I mean, they were. That was pretty good.
do think if you steer back to like late 2000s,
Yeah.
early 2010s, there's a lot of really good. Oh, that's, Mavericks Heat.
Yeah.
Was that Mavericks Heat? Was that Ray Allen from the corner, or was that Spurs Heat?
That was. Ooh, good question. I don't know the answer. I'm sitting here looking at the. I'm looking at a different series.
6. It was Spurs. 2013.
Right.
That was probably definitely I think the Warriors series have been kind of fun, off and on, but that series was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one.
LeBron James, Tony Parker, the big three versus Tim Duncan and the company. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That was a good
But yeah,
one.
it's been boring this year. I'm with you.
Yeah, just hasn't been as much fun to watch.
Yeah.
because the Celtics are breezing through, and yeah, I want to see tight. I'd like to see everything go to 7 games. Every series. That way, everybody's playing the same amount of games and everything's tight and it all be fun and exciting. And the NBA would love that too, I'm sure. But yeah, it just doesn't happen that way. So,
That's true.
anyway, you gotta do. Let's talk a little Formula One because we can. That's what we do here.
Formula.
So, Canadian Grand Prix was this past weekend, and well, Red Bull's Max Verstappen wins. He beats Lando Norris of McLaren by 3.8 seconds. In what was it was a good race to watch because of the rain. It made it interesting. The tire choices, at the beginning you had the Haas team with their wet tires on, and everybody else went intermediate, and they were moving up. They were hauling ass, and then it stopped raining, and not so good for the wet tires. They started losing time, and then they got to go in and change tires. And I was like, yeah, it worked a little, but it didn't work because once you do the pit stop, you lose all that time that you picked up passing all the people for the first, 10, 12, 15 laps or whatever it was. And anyway, but I did like the rain. I like the fact that it rained again later and there was choices to be made, slick tires versus intermediate tires. And, you get these intermediate tires out there and they start racing in this race. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, you got to keep them cool. Right? Because they're starting to overheat because it stopped raining, right? So now the track is wet and slick. You still need them, but when you go around in a straight stretch, try and veer over a little bit so you can pick up some moisture on them. I'm like, that just seems counterintuitive to the racing to begin with, right? Aim for the water. Yeah. And yeah, it's weird, but
I saw them doing that and I was like, are they doing that on purpose? Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah.
They take the outside on one and grab a little water on the right tires, take the outside on the next one and grab a little water on the other tires. I do this all the time when I'm driving home in the rain. I thought I was just playing in puddles.
Right. And so then I'm thinking about it. Okay, so if we all start on intermediate or wet tires and we start going around and they start to dry out a line, right? You see the racing line, it starts to dry out once it stops raining, right? You can actually see it, right? But when you go to slicks, the racing line changes because you can take that corner faster on a slick. You carry more speed, so automatically you're hitting at the beginning and ends of corners. You're hitting a different line than you would on the intermediate, which to me means it's a huge danger just in general, unless it's completely dry. But they're out there doing it, and of course you saw a lot of the spin outs and all that kind of stuff, and that's what made the race exciting. Although Verstappen did lead from lap 25 on. But it wasn't a huge lead and it wasn't insurmountable, and you still felt like there were other people with an opportunity. But the best race part was what Russell and Norris and
Hamilton,
yeah,
and Piastri to that point.
Piastri,
all four of them.
Yeah, that was a good part.
That
of the
was
race.
A fun little group.
Yeah, and a bad day for Ferrari, who went into this weekend hoping that they might leave with the constructors' lead, right?
Yeah,
and they might have had both cars stayed on, been able to finish, but Charles Leclerc was way back, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. It was, where'd Leclerc finish?
I liked it because it was a little chaotic. It was a little bonkers.
Yeah.
There was good decisions, bad decisions. Leclerc did not finish, by the way.
Remember
they pulled him.
Yeah, but he was 19th technically is where he finishes. So.
Yeah, he was 19th, having been lapped.
Yeah. And then Sainz was 16th, but 18 laps because he also didn't finish. So,
but there was some good stuff like in terms of like drama, like George and Lando, brushing each other.
Yeah.
While trying to get past one another. It was exciting. That brought back all of the fun. Lando almost getting Verstappen coming out of pit lane and then starts to slide out a little bit.
Right.
And that's what costs him his chance at first. George almost nailing Max Verstappen.
Yeah, he did too.
Coming back onto the track.
That was good too. And then you had some middle racing. The Ocon, Gasly, Ricardo, Stroll.
Ricardo had a good race.
It was a good middle part, fighting for those last couple spots, point spots. Yeah, it was interesting. But it's funny because I'm sitting here looking at it. Esteban Ocon, and speaking of that middle part of the pack, Esteban Ocon finished 10th. Right? He pitted one time. Nico Hulkenberg.
That's kind of impressive.
Nico Hulkenberg was right behind him, half a second. He pitted 3 times. So where did you lose all that time, Esteban Ocon? What were you doing? Right?
Well, he ran
Ke-
on the intermediates for too
Kevin
long.
Kevin Magnussen was 4/10 of a second behind Hulkenberg, and he had 4 pit stops. So I'm trying to figure out how that works because Valtteri Bottas behind him, he only had 1 pit stop. I mean, what were you doing out there in the meantime?
How
So
many did Mercedes did one? Yeah, wait, hold on. It
Mercedes,
was
so Hamilton had 3,
Yeah.
and Russell had 3.
Wait, am I looking at? I'm seeing Grand Prix Canada. It says one.
Oh yeah,
Mercedes George Russell, one stop. Lewis
nope.
Hamilton, one stop. What
Well,
am I seeing?
because they changed tires.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading it the way it
Oh
listed on the F1 website.
yeah.
It's not. It says stops, and then it says one. But if you scroll down, you'll find Lewis Hamilton again, and it'll say stops 2.
Oh right, at that point, yeah.
So it's at
Yeah.
that point in the race. Okay,
Yeah.
I see it now. Yeah, you're right. Lewis did pull 3. He put one at lap 54.
Yeah,
Oh, he went to softs, I think.
he was trying to get faster. He did. I think he
Yeah,
did get the fastest
he,
lap.
he did get
Yeah,
faster.
yeah, yeah. But he was catching up at the end. I mean, he was close, but he just didn't have enough. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting. It was a good race, and it's funny. I was laughing because in the end, we went through all that to figure out that Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull, and Alfa
You want
Romeo
to say Ferrari?
we're all right there. If Ferrari had been there, they would have been probably 6th and 7th. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just the
It would have
same
been
team.
interchangeable people.
Yeah, you
Yep.
could just pick one and pull one out and whatever.
But this just continues. McLaren,
They're good.
they've picked something up, found something.
Yep.
While I do believe, and we talked about this one of the earlier podcasts this year, I do believe that Red Bull has lost something. I don't know what it is, but something's not quite the same with their car. They're not really winning any race in the same dominant fashion that they won last year. Even the races that they won earlier this year in more dominant fashion.
True.
It was still less than previous years. So something's up with their car, and all the other cars are catching up. And I think what's happening is in qualifying, people are putting on better efforts,
Yeah.
and it's causing more race chaos. I mean, George held Max behind him for however many laps,
Right.
which helped create race chaos. So
What I want to know is what has happened to Sergio Perez. That
he forgot how to drive.
yeah, he was cruising along doing typical Sergio Perez things for the first 6 races, and then Italy, all right, was 4. He got 4 points. Okay, well that's finishing 8th or something, and then he did not finish in Monza and in Monaco, sorry, or in Canada, either one. And I'm like, well, the Monaco thing probably wasn't his fault with the crash, but I mean, he just all of a sudden is not a factor, and right now he's down in 5th. But Verstappen got a full 25 points extra up on 2nd place Charles Leclerc, thanks to Leclerc not finishing. So he's in the lead, 194 points. Leclerc 2nd, Lando Norris is 3rd.
Lando Norris is going to take 2nd from Leclerc next week, I think. And Red Bull's going to win the Constructors' Cup because of the points that Max Verstappen's carrying.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna
like right now, what is it? Lando's in 3rd and Piastri's in 6th, and it still doesn't matter because Verstappen has 194.
Yeah, Ferrari laid a goose egg in terms of championship points, and so McLaren and Mercedes both caught up 28 points in one race, which Mercedes is a little ways back. They've been struggling, but I thought George Russell had a chance to win this one. I thought he was right there. He was disappointed afterwards, but his race was.
I thought Lewis Hamilton had a chance to podium.
Yeah,
but George Russell was a better defender.
Yeah, and Russell, Norris, and Verstappen all led at different points early in the race. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought sure when they went from the get go and Russell held off Verstappen into turn 1, I thought, okay, well, it's Canada. There isn't much passing unless someone spins out and ruins it. This is George Russell's race, right? And then people spun out. And there's yellow flag, and then there's, you know what I mean? And even the leaders, even these world-class professional drivers on intermediate tires are still struggling with sliding rear end or sliding front end. Those curbs don't do any good for you, right? Not only are they painted, right? Which is slick to begin with, right? If your tires hit a painted curb, there's no traction there. But also,
Yeah.
it throws you into the air at 100 and whatever miles an hour. And now you're up in the air, about to land on a wet road. That's hard to do. Um,
Wait, who had the almost accident that made everyone cringe? Somebody spun out. I think it was the Williams car, and then somebody almost
nailed
nailed
them.
them
Yeah,
coming.
it was almost a side swipe. It was almost
I think it was a Haas car.
at full speed. It might have been. I don't remember which one it was, but
But last week we had Monaco, or not last week. Monaco, was that last week
just
or last race?
to last race. Yeah,
Last race at Monaco, we had an almost oopsie in the tunnel
yeah,
where that one car whips around the other car last second, and then here we have this one. We've had two races in a row where there's almost been like a catastrophic accident on a
yeah.
car that's already stopped.
Right. Yeah. No, it was almost crazy bad. It was. I don't even know how they avoided it because honestly, it just looked like.
I don't have that reaction
Yeah,
time.
there's
I
no
like
way
to
I'd
think,
have missed them.
but
I just ran right into them.
so me and Chelsea were talking about this the other day. They have to find something to do to get rid of the safety car start.
The restart.
It's
Yeah.
like the fact that Max, and it's usually, I say Max because it's been him like 9 times out of 10. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to use him because it's been him for the last 3 years. He comes to a damn near stop,
Right.
dragging in this pile of cars behind him, and then launches into a turn,
Right.
and then forces everyone to try and catch up. How about you just make it to where there's something on your dash that alerts you after the safety car crosses the pit line, and that's when you can start. That's when everyone can start.
I would much rather they just reline up every time.
See, I think me and Chelsea thought about that. We think the issue with that is they're trying to prevent the start of race crashes.
Oh, I love the start of race crashes.
Well, I know we all love them, but I mean, do the teams love them?
No,
Do the drivers
I know,
love
I
them?
know.
No one loves them
I know,
involved.
but I that's what we want.
I would agree. That's what I said originally. Just line them up again. But she was like, "Well, I don't think they want like to lose 3 cars every time they reline up."
They
I'm
don't.
like, what?
I know, I get it. They don't. But you know, when you go to a hockey game, have you ever been to a hockey game and no one fought?
Yes, it
Okay,
sucks.
it sucks. I mean, that is like,
Yeah.
what am I
Well,
paying you
unless
for?
there's a good. I went to a preseason hockey game for the Avs.
Yeah.
And the final score was like 8-5. So there was a lot of scoring. So there was a lot of reason to stand up and cheer. But there was no fights. That kind of offset there being no
Right.
fights.
Yeah.
But I have been to a hockey game where it was like 3-1 or 3-0.
And it's no fighting,
No
and you're
fights.
like, what is? I don't want to watch this. I want to watch you guys do something. I mean, if you're not gonna,
I need a little drama.
if it's not gonna be 6-5, then I need some fighting. I need something. I need some anger, right? Because that's why you go to a hockey game. I mean, it's the reason why. Let's be honest. It's the reason why NASCAR fans watch NASCAR for the 42 car pileup. That's what you want to see. It is the reason you go. You know, yeah, okay. I'm a big racing fan, and I want my driver to win, but I also want to see a crash. I do.
Okay. I have something to tell you about NASCAR.
Go.
Did you, and I know you didn't, did you watch the Sonoma race? The NASCAR Sonoma race
No.
that was this past weekend?
No.
Okay. Well, I watched it because it was on sometime after the Formula One race.
Okay.
And of course, it's like 500 laps, so I didn't watch 498 of them. But on the final 2 laps,
Yeah.
Martin True Jr.
Martin Truex.
was in second. Truex?
Truex.
He
Yeah.
was hauling ass, making up time on first place. He looked like he had a chance.
Yeah.
And then on the final lap, he ran out of gas.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
He ran out of gas and finished 27th.
20. I'm looking at it right now. 27th.
It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I can't believe what I'm watching. This would never happen in Formula One.
No, and I like isn't there a guy whose total job it is to go?
There was a guy.
Just,
He's
oh
fired.
yeah, no, I mean there used to be at yeah.
There's a new guy now.
There's yeah, I'm like
It was hilarious.
yeah, I don't know.
And me and Cassie are watching it because his car was still going on like what they call like starter power or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's moving at like half a mile an hour down the final stretch.
You
just
know,
as cars were zipping past him. It
yeah,
was so good.
At Joe Gibbs Racing, they have a new fuel guy.
New
They-
fuel guy.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it happens though. I mean, it happens in everything. who was it that was it a couple years ago in Formula One finished the race but didn't have enough fuel to take the sample, right?
Oh,
Because
I
you have to
do
have X
remember
amount of
that.
fuel,
Yeah.
right? I don't remember. It was,
He was running low.
yeah, I mean, he didn't have enough fuel, so they got penalized. And I'm like, oh, really? Come on. But he made it through. He just, an extra half a lap, and that was it. And he was done. He was out of fuel. So you got to have enough fuel in Formula One, not only to finish, to get a sample out of. You got to have a liter left or something, or I can't remember what it is. Anyway,
Well, this brings up another question, and actually a great response. When Sergio Perez crashed and hit the wall, and his wing was hanging off,
yeah,
do you think they should have forced? I know why he didn't stop, because it would have hurt Max.
yes,
They were 100% saying, get that car back here and do not let a safety car come out.
right. That's
Because it was
exactly
late. It was
right.
clearly late in the race.
Yeah.
But should they have,
Well,
when things like that happen, should they be penalizing the team?
so here's my question. I guess.
Because Sergio can do whatever he wants, but you have to hold his principals accountable for dangerous behavior.
Do you watch? Did you? If you watch the whole thing, right? You saw his thing hanging off, but then it came off.
Yeah. It came off. Yeah.
It came off while he was driving around. Okay. So
yes.
if he's unsafe, what you're going to tell him is you need to go to the pits. Well, that's where he was going anyway. He was trying to get to the.
If he's unsafe, they would tell him to stop moving.
No, they won't. They will tell him he has to get out of the way, but he doesn't have to stop.
Debris on the field. Well, they did a couple years ago. They did it to Ocon when he was driving one of the pink cars. He got into an accident and was trying to limp back to pit lane, and his race control hopped on and told him he needed to stop the car. So he has to stop the car. You cannot drive it this way. It's unsafe to the track, and it's unsafe to the debris that's getting on it.
So here's my question. If the piece has already come off, what are you going to do?
Well, it doesn't mean more pieces aren't going to come off.
But at any
the
point
reason
in
I
time.
agree with you is because what's his name? Who's the jerk at Red Bull who constantly has something to say? Old race guy. He always is criticizing Lewis Hamilton. Always. He's an old race guy. Red Bull. But Lewis Hamilton finished a race a couple of years ago on a flat tire.
Right, and that was in
Silverstone.
Yeah.
And he was saying, well, they didn't make him stop.
They didn't.
Why would they make us stop?
It's true. They didn't. He finished.
It's true. And so I heard that. I was like, okay, actually that's a pretty fair point.
Fair.
You're right. However,
that was a good race.
The after Sainz hit that wall and pieces were falling off of his car as he was driving away, other drivers were saying there's a ton of debris on the track. There's a ton. They kept it was like 4 or 5 drivers chimed in saying there's a ton of debris. We've got to get this cleaned up.
Yeah.
But they never stopped the race until another safety car a little bit late.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the other incident was. I think that was when Sainz went out.
Yeah.
They did another safety car. But it was just like I remember watching him drive while being passed by cars with his wing partially hanging off. And I'm like, it seems a little reckless, but I get the strategy.
Yeah.
But that's where the leadership of F1 needs to step in and say, no. You can't do that. You can't have parts of your car falling off as you're driving along the track.
You're talking about Helmut Marko.
Helmut Marko. He's always criticizing Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. He's a big critic. Yeah. He's also he was the guy who made the super racist comments.
I mean,
not that long ago. So not surprising.
No, not at all. Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of, there was a couple things like that in this race where it was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. It's interesting. Formula One's got some quirks to it. I've never seen a sport with a set of rules that's so gray. You know what I mean?
Soccer.
Well, no. The rules.
Soccer rules aren't gray.
Right.
They're enforced in a gray way.
Right. That's the difference. The referees are gray.
But the referees are gray.
Are gray. Right. It's in Formula One, the rules are gray. They don't, that applies, but it doesn't apply, and we're not gonna. And so there's a race director who's in charge of all that, I assume, and he doesn't. Doesn't seem like it's the same from race to race. It seems like it's different. You know what I mean? The rules get bent the way it's convenient, I guess. I don't know.
To quote Ted Lasso, this sport has the loosest goosiest of rules.
It does too. It does too.
It's so at the whim of
Yeah.
whatever race director we have this year.
Yeah. And if you watch soccer long enough, it just all you got to watch is a guy doing a throw in, right? And he's 17 steps later, he's throwing the ball in down, he's halfway down the field, and I'm like, what is what is that? Okay, whatever. Anyway,
I'll tell you right now, the background on my computer, on my work computer, is
yeah.
just like the little like voice like box, like the little box that pops up on it says "Focus, George, focus." I thought that was an all timer from Toto.
Yeah. Hey, and you don't hear anything from Toto anymore. They turned off all those radios, and I want to hear that. I mean, I
Yeah, they had
don't.
the one big year, and then I think nobody had anything good to say about F1. So like,
Yeah.
well, let's just not talk to
Yeah.
the managers or the principals.
I still one of my favorite things to listen to is when they're driving around, all of a sudden they'll say, "We're going to go with Plan B," and you're like, "Oh, Plan B. Okay, well, that was helpful. We stopped talking about the race so we could listen to them say they're going to Plan B. No one knows what that is. We don't know what that is." And maybe they aren't
Oh,
even going to Plan B. They're just trying to make it sound like they're going to Plan B. It's like the fake signals on a baseball field. I don't know.
there was a race not that long ago where somebody slid off the track and then came back on, and it was not this race. I know George Russell did a similar thing, but the guys were Martin Brundle and wait, who's the other guy? Who are the two guys in the booth?
Croft.
Croft.
Yeah.
Coulthard?
No.
Oh my
It's
gosh, why do I not know this?
it's David. Yeah.
I know this. Hold on, I'm googling it. No, it's not them. David Croft, Martin Bundle,
David
Simon
Croft. Martin Brundle.
Lazenby,
Those are the
Ted
two.
Kravitz.
Ted Kravitz in the pits usually.
So David Croft and Martin Brundle are up
Those
in
are the
the
two. Yeah.
booth.
David Croft.
Okay.
Martin Brundle.
So they're talking and they're like, "Oh, I think this is a good strategy." Oh, we got the call. We have word coming in, and it pops up, and then the Ferrari thing pops up, and it's just boop. Well, he does not seem happy about that.
Yeah. A little bit.
It was like we stopped talking to hear a beep.
Right. Well, they couldn't
I do like Croft and Brundle because they were roasting Ferrari for sending Leclerc out on the mediums.
Yeah, and you got the additional Jacques Villeneuve in this one, right? He was on there too. So,
that's right.
Which was kind of good, but yeah, I don't know. Formula One, it was a good race. It was a good race. It was better than the ones have been, I guess. Let's say, right?
Yeah.
It's better than they were. But rain will do that, and Spa's coming up. It always rains there. So they're going to get to the best part of the season. It's coming up here in a couple races. We're going to get to all the European races where you have Silverstone and Red Bull Ring and Hungary and
Zandvoort.
Yeah, Zandvoort and what's the one in Italy? The other one, not Monza, but yep.
Oh my gosh, why do I not know this?
It won't come to me.
It's just the.
Yeah, but the race track. The track is called something. Anyway, those are the best part of the season in my book. Is that set of races. They're always fun because Silverstone's one of those race courses where that's a good course. Yeah, the Red Bull Ring and Spa because it's unpredictable. That's also fun to watch. So yeah. Anyway, I like this. Anyway,
Cassie and I are debating. And I say debating loosely, going to Formula One in Vegas.
Yeah, it'll be a lot less expensive this year.
It'll be a lot less expensive, especially if Max has already won.
True, it may be decided here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, but then we could go watch an F1 race kind of on the cheap, and we have zero desire to go to Texas, so we're like, hell, maybe we'll go to Vegas in November and watch some racing.
The Texas one Circuit of the Americas is kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
I want to do the track walk of Circuit of the Americas because I want to see that rise and drop at that
turn
first
one.
Turn.
It's big. It's huge.
I've seen it on TV. I've played it on video games, and I still don't quite comprehend how much the elevation change is. But it looks massive.
I will tell you this: we were on the second floor of the pit lane suites, right? So you got the pit underneath, and then I guess the third floor. The second floor is suites, and then the third floor is suites, right? We're on the top floor of that. And
Yeah.
from there, standing outside, looking to your left, looking towards turn one, the the corner is above you. The people are in the stands above you, quite a ways above you. You can literally, I mean, it's that much of a difference. I'm 3 floors up, and that's way above me.
Yeah.
It's just this huge hill. You go straight up this hill, and then it's a sharp left-hand turn and down.
Yeah.
That's a good wreck corner. And then there's people out there. There's part of that is actual seats you can purchase a ticket for. Part of it's a
Yeah.
hillside that's free. And
Really?
so when the you don't want to sit on the hillside, but part of the
Fair enough.
part of the you know the allure of that whole first corner is being able to see both. If you're sitting in the stands on that corner, you're at the top of the race course, the very highest point, and you can see all kinds of stuff from there. But you're there watching them come around the corner. That hillside fills up, not for practice, not even for qualifying, but on race day, the hillside was packed. There's people everywhere. And if you're standing there or sitting there, there's no way to see anything because people are standing in front of you because there's no seats. It's just a
Yeah.
hillside. So you're trying to kind of stack yourself, behind people, but it's not like elevated like you'd like it to be. It isn't like a bowl. So it's a funky hillside. Anyway, it's weird, but
That's still super cool though.
there's a billion people out there. Yeah. Anyway, so it's an interesting place, but it was a good place to watch a race if it hadn't been so dang hot. Um, yeah. So all this happens outside. You got to go outside. Let's do some NFL. Let's talk about quickly some NFL stuff. I got 5 questions for you. You ready?
Let's do it.
This is our TF5 segment. So I got 5 burning NFL questions for you. Here they are. They're all true or false.
Burning.
These are burning
Yeah.
questions. These are a big deal. All right.
Yeah.
Here's question number 1. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is going to be the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL this year. True or false?
I'm going to say false, although I do believe he's the best positioned for it.
Okay.
But he's also the most best positioned to be forgiven if he has a bad season. He's coming into a fairly new team.
Yeah.
He's kind of questionable. He's got his number one receiver is Rome Odunze, who's also brand new.
Right.
Like there's a lot of questions, and they have a coach that no one's really believing in
Right.
yet, right? But the thing is, Caleb Williams, if you're trying to convince me that Caleb Williams is more athletic, more talented than Justin Fields, I don't think so. I think they're about the same.
Yeah. I don't know.
But they couldn't make it work with Justin Fields. So maybe there is a mental component, but what I can tell you from watching Caleb Williams for years is the mental component is his weak spot.
I think. Yeah. So okay. So if you don't think
struggles with that,
if you don't think he's going to win, who's going to win?
I think a good setup would be J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you hear me?
I'm listening.
J.J. McCarthy's in the same division, so all he has to do is outperform Caleb Williams on a base level. He
Well,
has Justin Jefferson, way more
Yeah,
experience
that's true.
than a Rome Odunze. He's got a coach who I think is better than Chicago's coach.
Maybe. Yeah.
He's got a line that's better than Chicago's line. Their defense isn't as good, but they're in division, and if they can play them and go split or go 2-0 against them, that kind of answers that question. The other person, and then my long shot for it is Drake May.
Yeah.
Because if he can hang in that division, the NFC East,
Right.
he's going to be considered for something.
So no chance that maybe.
Sorry, AFC.
Right. No. Well, yeah, and that's provided he is the starting quarterback and plays, right?
Which
Yeah.
I think he will. I think
Probably.
He will, yeah.
So no chance for maybe Jaden Daniels.
My problem with Jaden Daniels is that he has to compete at a quarterback level against Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And I just don't see it. He'll probably outshine whoever's the quarterback for the Giants, but
Yeah, Daniel Jones might be healthy.
or Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, who
One of
knows,
the two.
right?
But yeah, who knows? But if he's even competitive in that division, he looks great because there are two really good teams around him in Dallas and Philly. So that does put him in a good spot. I just think that JJ and Drake,
Yeah.
JJ could do well by outshining Caleb, which gets him the edge
True.
on the odds. And then Drake, no one's expecting anything of him.
That's true.
Drake and Bo Nix both. No one thinks they're going to do anything in their division.
Right.
If they do anything, they all of a sudden go, "Oh crap! Well, maybe there's something."
Well, Bo Nix has got his work cut out for him. That's going to be rough because
By the By the way, little trivia about Bo Nix.
Yeah.
The shortest name in NFL history.
That does not surprise me.
As
Like,
somebody, I
huh.
was listening to the sports radio locally, and they were like, somebody called in and was like, "Well, what about Ty Law?" And like, his real name is not Ty, it's
Mm.
Taiwan.
All right.
Bo Nix is Bo Nix,
Bo Nix.
5 letters, first and last.
That'd
There's
be
not
great.
been another person that's close.
My name's short, and I'm envious already because I don't,
That's true. Your name is pretty
pretty
short.
short. It'd be nice to have an even shorter name to not have to, all you got to do is literally, he's got to just sign his name, Bo. That's all he's got to put, right?
He really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to know. Um,
Also, that's cool. He could do like a B, an N, and an X, and
yeah.
you'd still get it.
Yep. You would. Exactly right. I mean, you could just scribble the middle, to be honest with you, B and an X, and the middle part could just
Yeah,
be
an X, and
blah.
you'd be like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but it's
probably
Bo
Bo
Nix.
Nix.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, all right. Marvin Harrison Jr., is he in that discussion at all out in Arizona?
No.
No?
He needs a good coaching staff, and he needs a good quarterback. He's got neither.
Well, I hear you.
He,
But
he's one. He is going to suffer from the who's the receiver for the Seahawks?
which one?
Oh my gosh, DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
He's going to suffer the DK Metcalf syndrome, where he has good seasons on an underperforming team,
Okay. All right. Just asking.
and
All right.
he's just never going to get the credit he deserves.
Question 2. You ready?
Yep.
Involves your boy. So, Bo Nix is going to be Denver's QB1 at the end of this season. And I'm not saying,
Yes.
yeah, you think at the end of the season, like game 16, 15, 16, 17, he'll be QB1. He'll be the guy.
I think unless, and this is an obvious unless, right? Unless Zach Wilson comes out like gangbusters, or unless Jarrett Stidham decides he all of a sudden is way better than we all know him to be, Bo Nix will be the starting quarterback by week 8.
Okay.
And that's,
Do you think they'll wait that long?
I don't. I think
Okay.
he's going to start this. I think he's going to start the season.
Right.
He's definitely going to start preseason. I think will decide if Bo starts the regular season. But I think that Bo Nix returning to Seattle is a massive storyline that has glitz and glamour written all over it, and it'll be a big deal.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Jarrett Stidham was the quarterback at the end of last year, but that was a whole
Right.
Russell Wilson debacle thing, right?
Fiasco.
Fiasco,
Hey,
right.
we got to watch Stiddy live. He was pretty cool.
We
He won us a game.
That game was the game that we got to see though was such a
It was
such a
unfortunate
letdown.
that we didn't get to see Herbert or
Right,
Russell. But hey,
right.
good news this year.
Yeah.
They play on my birthday, which means you guys got to come to town.
Okay.
They play the Colts.
Okay. All right.
Colts on my birthday. That'll be a fun one.
That would be fun. I'm on board. All right. Let me ask you. And who knows how good Mr. Wilson's going to be? Zach Wilson's going to be out in maybe the change of scenery is what he needed, right? Because
Absolutely.
the Jets were, the Jets were the Jets. Let's be honest.
I do believe that the Jets were jetsing him.
Yeah, I agree.
Just the same way that the Giants are giantsing other guys and
Yeah.
have been. So
Yeah. Let's go to question 3. The Miami Dolphins are going to win the AFC East this year. True or false?
false.
You think it's still Buffalo, or do you
I
think
think
the
it's
Jets
still-
with Aaron
I
Rodgers?
think it's still Buffalo until Buffalo proves otherwise, even with losing Stephon, which is kind of bold. But I think this last year they had the element of surprise with McDaniel and all their offensive pieces, and it was very interesting and very shocking, and it was electric. But they were really floated stats wise by a handful of good games. Broncos. They were floated very well all season.
Yeah,
But we saw what
that
happened
was a
every time
close
they
one.
played a decent team
Yeah.
that had a decent coach. It was no longer a 30-point runaway. It was a nail biter.
Yeah.
Or they lost.
right.
So I don't expect that to change this year. And then now with Aaron Rodgers being healthy, knock on wood, because I don't know that he's actually healthy, but he's healthy
Right.
enough. Now that Aaron Rodgers is back, I expect that team to be more competitive because they were mismanaged last year pretty badly. Again, they jetsed Zach Wilson the whole
Right.
season. So
That was gonna be my next
Yeah.
bonus true or false question, which was true or false. Aaron Rodgers will have an Aaron Rodgers like season this year.
ooh, it depends on how much he ignores Robert Sela. That's their coach, right?
Yeah, you think he's got to go out away from
I
what? You think he's got to call his own
I
plays?
I think that Robert Sela is the weak link in their coaching chain. He's got a lot of energy. He's great at something. I'm yet to know what that is because his defenses have always been questionable,
Wow.
and that includes going back to San Francisco. I get it. But at San Francisco, you could also make the argument if they had a good game, you could say like, oh, we got like 5 Pro Bowlers on here.
That's true.
Like, was it them? Was it you? Right? Well, here
Right.
he goes to a team that has 1 Pro Bowler in Quentin Williams, and they have an abysmal year. I will say though, they still kind of were a little bit competitive, but he is a motivator, so I give him some credit for that. I just think he's an offensive D coordinator. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers needs to listen to him. And I think Aaron Rodgers and what's his name? Who is the Broncos' former coach? The disgraced guy that no one likes.
Yeah, I know. What's his name?
Oh, why is that killing? Oh, man, it's like I've forgotten him after 2 years already. But him, who came from Green Bay to the
Right.
Broncos and then blew our team up for a season, made us look like embarrassments. And
But-
then last year was embarrassing with the Jets.
The Jets
Although
are
they did snag a win against the Broncos. Ugh.
well, and see, the Jets won 7 games last year, so the Jets are, I mean, without Aaron Rodgers, they had enough talent to be. I mean, they were in the playoff hunt until what, last week, but they were right there. I feel like that was a team that could have been. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is there, how many more wins do they get? 3? Maybe? So
Yeah.
10-7 instead of, and then who do they steal them from? If you steal one from Miami or if you steal one from Buffalo, right? You might win the division with that record.
Yeah, the things I'll give them are that, yeah, they came out and stole an overtime game against Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo looked bad for the first 5
Yeah.
weeks of the season.
They did.
They came out and beat the Broncos, who were not good. Then they beat Philly. That was impressive.
Yeah.
Clean, like it was a
Well-
clean win. Then they overtimed the Giants, who are not good. And then they
Right.
beat the Texans late in the season, which is pretty impressive.
Right.
And then they beat the Commanders, not great. And then they beat the Patriots, not great. So there's 7 wins with 4 wins against sub 500 teams, 1 really impressive one, 1 weird overtime one, and then 1 questionable Buffalo Bills early season game. So
Yeah.
I just don't believe in what the Jets put together last year, but I do think if Aaron Rodgers is behind the helm, they will be better.
Okay.
Like substantially. They move from a 5 to 7 win team to a 10 to 11 win team.
I think this is what the NFL wants. 15 teams last year had records between 7-10 and 10-7. So
it was chaos.
half the league was in this 2-game, 3-game, spread. And the Eagles were beatable last year. This is going to bring us into the next question anyway, but the Eagles were definitely beatable last year. They lost 6 games in the regular season.
Yeah, to end it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was during that stretch that he beat them.
Yeah, so here's the question. And this is not it sounds funny to ask it because they didn't even win the division last year. But the question is, someone other than Philly is going to win the NFC East this year. True or false?
Damn, that's a good one.
Because the Cowboys won it last year, and I don't know that they're good enough to win it.
I'm gonna say no because of that reason. I think the Cowboys didn't win it. I think Philly lost it.
Right. Okay.
Philly looked like they fell apart.
They did.
You could watch them not playing the same, watch them not executing the same way. That not every tush push was getting 3 yards.
Right.
It just got weird during a little period there. But you didn't feel like the other team was beating him. You felt like they were doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
true.
still feel that way. So I feel like Philly will probably win the division again. Dallas is a contender for sure, but I don't see it.
Dallas is,
Philly has to lose it.
Okay.
Philly will win it or lose it. One of the two.
Do you think there's a more disappointed fan base in football than the Dallas Cowboys, just in general right now? Because they look like, I mean, there's 12-5 team last year in NFL football. Do you think there's a more disappointed fan base? I mean, I know you can be disappointed if you're a Cardinals fan. We're going 4-13, but honestly, what did you expect, right? The Cowboys.
Kyler Murray's up at 1 a.m. playing COD. You didn't have a chance.
Yeah, the Cowboys are good. They're a good football team. They play
have good pieces.
football, but they don't win when they need to win.
Yeah.
The games that they need to win, and playoff games more specifically, but I mean they don't win the games that they need to win to be that team where you go, oh look, they're going to be in the conference championship next year. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit.
Disappointed fan bases is tough because I feel like Carolina is right in there. They were just playing for a Super Bowl 9 years ago.
Yeah, I
And
suppose.
now they've had 5 head coaches in 2 years.
Is it more disappointing to be really good at some point and now be bad, or is it more disappointing to be good enough to make the playoffs but we can't go anywhere else every
Uh,
year?
I feel like if you're a Cowboys fan and you're not living on this predictable scale of like, well, we're going to have a good regular season, we're going to get to the playoffs, and then we're going to lose to an actual good team. That's just how it goes every single year.
Every
It's not
single
a
year.
question. By that same token, you could also look at the Panthers and be like, we're just going to lose to everyone and be terrible and mismanage this whole time.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl since the 90s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like every young Cowboy fan blows my mind because they have so much pride in a team that has done not a lot over the past 30 years.
Right.
So I guess it's been less than 3 years. We'll say 20.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
the Panthers were good, very good. They had Luke Kuechly, they had Greg Olson, they had Cam Newton, they had Jonathan Stewart. They were absolutely electric.
Yeah.
And then one day they lost most of it.
Yeah.
And were bad.
Yeah,
Very bad. And then they started cycling through coaches and their facilities. Apparently it came out this week. Their facilities are terrible. Like all these things, like Broncos fans have a lot of reason to be mad too, because again, we did kind of a similar thing. But even in our worst years, we still are winning like 5 to 7 games.
Yeah.
Panthers would be lucky to win 5 games in a year. Browns fans probably are I really shouldn't be talking. Browns fans got to be pissed for years. Well, they finally get a little bit good. Baker ships off, and they bring in Deshaun Watson, who immediately sits down on the bench.
Yeah, the longest divisional drought in football. The Cleveland Browns have not won a division title in how long? 1989.
Jaguars might have a good cause. Actually, all 3 Florida teams might have a good gripe for their direct. No, Tampa doesn't, because they just won a Super Bowl and they've been competitive even since Tom Brady left.
Yeah, that's another one. That's the NFC South is one of those. The NFC South and the AFC North. The AFC North is a much better version of the NFC South, but they're all right there. And like every week, you can't tell me who's going to win the Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh game. You don't have an idea. You really don't.
That's a good. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who.
But at least you're in it and competitive.
Yeah, and then that's what I like. But the NFC South was the same way, just on a lesser, not as exciting way. Yeah, they're all just worse. But I mean,
there had to be a point where Tennessee fans looked around and went, "I don't get it. We've got Corey Davis, we've got Derrick Henry, we've got Wesley Woodyard, we've got all of these pieces.
Yeah,
why are we only winning 7 to 8 games a year?"
Yeah, I don't know why.
And then they have to remember it's because they brought in that coach who only likes to run the ball.
Yeah,
and literally ran Derrick Henry into the ground ran other people into the ground, ruined Marcus Mariota's career.
Yeah, two 9-8 teams in the AFC South, and neither one of them made the playoffs. And yet the 10-7 Houston Texans did.
I'll say to flip that on, who's the happiest fan base right now?
Kansas City.
Well, okay, outside of Super Bowl winner.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Kansas City's
who is the most pleased with the way their team played this year?
Last year's team.
I think it's got to be Houston.
It might be Houston. It might also be Cleveland at 11-6.
Cleveland was 11-6. The Colts were right there in the mix too. They had a good year.
It might be Detroit. Detroit fans are happy because they're winning the division, right?
Yeah. And they've been competitive for 2 years in a row.
Right. Made it to the NFC Championship game, right? So
I think I agree with you there. I think it's Detroit.
Might be Detroit. But it also could be Tampa Bay because everybody after Tom Brady left said, nah, this is over. But Baker's got them right there. I mean, a couple of wins here and there.
The Baker that you don't believe in?
He has gotten a lot better as a player. I don't know
He's
if it.
still never gonna. I don't think he's
I
gonna
don't.
win him a Super Bowl.
No, I don't know if it. I don't know what his mentality is, but it has to be. But I think he got a rude awakening and learned from it. You know what I mean? The NFL smacked him in the face pretty hard, and
Yeah,
he has learned from it, as opposed to somebody like Johnny Manziel who never did. Right?
yeah.
The NFL smacked him, and it was like, I'm still Johnny Manziel. No, you're not. No, no, you're
I
not.
think I think that Baker Mayfield got hurt a couple times and realized how fragile the career is
Right.
and how quick people will forget about you
Yeah.
and move
I
along. But
I don't. I like the way he plays. I like his
he's pretty
fire.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You don't see that out of most of the
Somebody
quarterbacks.
pulled the audio from our podcast 2 years ago because I'm pretty sure you really didn't like him at one point, but
I
that's
didn't.
okay. We're allowed to change our minds.
I didn't. Well, I mean, players change. You know,
Players should
he
change,
is
so can we. Yeah,
he's a different player than when he was in Cleveland, right?
that is.
I,
I would say he's very similar to like one of his last years in Cleveland, but
right,
not compared to like early Baker Cleveland years.
right.
Yes, he has very much changed. Once he started getting hurt, his entire it feels like his entire perspective on the game just kind of shifted a little bit. But then of course Cleveland's mismanaged as a whole. So
Oh, okay.
there's that.
All right. One last question. In order for the Chargers to be competitive this year, they're going to need to trade for a number one wide receiver. Having gotten rid of Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, that's 1 and 2, right? Those are options 1A and 1B.
They were
and left
when they were healthy.
when they were healthy, and that's a big part of that.
Oh
Is
crap! I forgot Caleb Williams has Keenan Allen. Ugh.
yeah, true.
Dang.
I-
That's huge.
The question is Quentin Johnson or yeah, what's his name?
Josh Palmer,
No, what's the rookie?
Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey. Is he going to be any kind of thing? I mean, those are your top three right there. You just named them all. Palmer and McConkey.
I think there's another guy in the mix here who's buried in it, and his name is DJ Chark.
Oh yeah, he's. I get it. Yeah, I mean,
DJ Chark is on the squad. Also, they have Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
No, I get it. J.K. Dobbins can't play more than 4 games without tearing an ACL, so
that may happen.
you only got him for a little bit, but
Darius Davis.
they have a fairly young wide receiver squad, which isn't a bad thing. It's just a little unpredictable. So I won't sit here and say they need to trade for a number one, like a bona fide number one out there. If they did, it wouldn't hurt. But right now, it's kind of a wild card. So I'm going to say false. They do not need to trade for one, only because there's a certain amount of unverified quality in what they have.
Okay. Unverified quality.
Well, I mean,
unproven
Ladd
talent.
McConkey, Brandon Rice, and DJ Chark, none of them have caught passes from Justin Herbert in a real
It's
game.
true.
So we don't know what that looks like. But we do know that Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnson have.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good. Josh Palmer's very good. He's got a knack for it. The thing that is going to make or break them, in my opinion, is their tight end. Will Dissly is their one, and Hayden Hurst is their backup. I think those should be flipped. I think Hayden Hurst should be their one, and Will Dissly should be their backup. But I think for them, Justin Herbert's solid as long as he doesn't get hurt. It's gonna come down to the same thing as last year. Can you stop anyone, please?
Yeah. So my issue. Yeah, the defense has got to do something at some point in time.
Gotta do something.
You got to do something. So here's the issue I have with the receivers that they've got listed is that none of them, the biggest returning producer, Palmer and Johnson both had 38 catches last year. That's it. That's your guys. Those are your number one guys.
Well, yeah, because what's his name had so the first two were Williams and like
Keenan Allen. Right.
And how many games did Williams miss last year?
Great question. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Because Mike Williams
was quite
has
a few.
missed a lot of games over the last few years.
But I'll bet he had more catches in the game.
Mike Williams played 3 games last year.
How many catches did he have?
20 or 19.
He had 19. He had half as many as these guys.
Yeah. The year before he played 13 games. The year before he played in 16 games, started 14. He's had 2 full years where he's played in all 16 games. Every season, other season has been cut short in one way or another. And the most he's ever had in terms of receptions in a season was 76,
Yeah.
and that was 2021. That was his big 1,000-yard year.
And I'm with you. What I'm just saying is that Quentin Johnson last year played in 17 games
Yeah.
and he caught 38 total passes.
Well, I
So
mean, he's the third he was the third option
not if
behind
Mike
this guy.
Williams wasn't there, he wasn't the third option.
Wait,
So
who's? That's actually a great point.
Keenan Allen was hurt. Mike Williams was hurt. He was the number one option. He only caught 38 passes. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is that these
I'm
guys?
guessing there was a tight end that was up there. That was
yeah, I don't know. I'm just
oh
saying.
no, it was Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler would have been the number one.
That's
catcher,
right.
for
Austin
sure.
Eckler had 51 receptions
Yep.
out of the backfield.
Leading receiver.
Yeah,
Yep.
Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnson both had 38. Keenan Allen had 108.
But Palmer only played in. He didn't play in all the games, so he only he played in 11 games.
So here's the top three in terms of receptions: Keenan Allen, 108; Gerald Everett, 51; Austin Eckler, 51; and then Johnson and Palmer. They checked down a lot.
Yeah, well, Eckler. When you got Eckler, why wouldn't you? Right?
I completely agree.
Yeah, that's the guy. He can do a lot with the ball.
By the way, Justin Herbert, 1 reception, 13 yards. Or sorry, 10 yards. 10 yards.
10 yards. That's good. Hey.
Fun fact. And what does F mean? No, it's not a touchdown. Darn it.
He won't be on the Marcus Mariota level until he throws and catches his own pass, and you know what I mean?
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Runs it in for a touchdown.
He did only have 228 rushing yards last year.
Well, yeah, he was hurt.
Well, he was only out for 4 games. Wait, they play 17 now, right?
17, yeah.
Yeah, so he played in 13 games, but still 228 is pretty low even for him.
I think after it wasn't this past year, it was the year before. I think after that year, when injury happened, they stopped running him or letting him run. I guess
got a little more cautious.
Exactly. So
let's not kill our future.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I get it.
There's a wild card here. Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
Like he could change.
I'm not convinced.
Quite a bit of dynamic on that team. Maybe not. Right. Like.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe in him. I'm just saying like it's a wild card. He's carrying a lot of weight coming into the league and a lot of respect coming into the league with players anyways. There's a chance something changes.
Right.
There's definitely a chance scheme is changing. Coach, OC, DC, and then all your assistants are all different. So we at least know it's not going to look the same. And that's interesting. I'm looking at this right now. Justin Herbert had 100 more passing yards than Russell Wilson last year.
Yeah.
Not even 100. Hashtag elite.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, when you don't have your receivers to throw to either, this becomes an issue, you know? It's and when the defense doesn't give you a great defense makes an offense better just because you're going to get more opportunities with the ball. If I give you 2 extra series a game because I get turnovers or I get stops, right? That's an extra how many? What's the average series? 6, 7 plays? 8 plays? I don't know. And twice, so 2 series, 14 plays. An extra 14 plays, you're going to have 7 passes. You're going to get more passing yards. You get more rushing yards. Your team feels better. You get more of a rhythm. When your defense can't stop anybody, your offense got to start from scratch every time. Hey, we just scored a touchdown. Awesome. Oh, wait a minute. They just scored a touchdown. Now we're right back where we started from. Let's go out again. You know, if you make a touchdown, your defense gets a stop, you get the ball back. There's that momentum build. You don't have that with the Chargers. You don't. I mean,
in 2022, the NFL teams averaged 10.9 10.9 drives per game at 6.09 plays per drive.
6, so it's only 6. Okay, I was thinking it was higher, but all right.
Yeah, most plays. Are punts. Is I guess.
Well, that's that holds it back quite a bit. The one play, the pick 6, the immediate one play pick 6. Is a killer for your average drive. But anyway. All right. Well, that's all I got.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk a lot more football. We're going to do this again.
Absolutely.
With some different questions. There's a lot more things going to happen, and we haven't even talked about the Atlanta Falcons getting docked a pick, and for tampering, or the Eagles being cleared of tampering, and we can talk about all that kind of stuff later. But it's going to be an interesting season. I'm looking forward to football. By the way, the Hall of Fame game is the kickoff to the NFL season. That is August the 1st. if you're looking for when does football officially start again, NFL or college, August 1st, 5 o'clock on ESPN ABC. Texans and Bears. So Caleb Williams gets
I
the
have
prime
never
time.
watched a full Hall of Fame game, except I've watched more coverage on that one where the power went out.
This one might be good. I mean,
If they try.
if you play Williams and you play Stroud,
Yeah.
it could be pretty good. I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't know if it will be, but yeah. And again, Celtics at Dallas tomorrow night. Parker says that Dallas is going to win. I think Celtics are going to sweep it tomorrow night. That's our guess. We'll figure that out next week.
Yeah.
All right, and I think that's all I got for unless you got something you want to talk about.
Are you buying College Football 25 when it comes out?
Yeah, you could pre-order it already.
You did?
No, you can. I just haven't.
Oh, I've already pre-ordered it.
Did you? You ordered the super deluxe?
I ordered the deluxe version.
Yeah.
There's a package that has both Madden and it. I didn't do that one, but then there's the regular and the deluxe. I ordered the deluxe one, and I've already requested the day off.
Football coma, video game coma.
I told Cass, I was like, I will be busy from
The
8 a.m.
whole day
until whenever.
Until I get tired of playing. You'll see me at food time, but that's about it.
I will make sure the house is in order before I start playing, and then leave me alone.
That's ridiculous. I'm not going to go that far, but I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I haven't decided. I like it. I like the idea of having that it's back. I would like to see it first. I'm hoping
there'll be some gameplay stuff that comes out like a week before or 2 weeks before.
I'm hoping they don't overdo it, that they don't overcomplicate it. I like the simplicity of the earlier college football games. They got real funky with your recruiting and your stuff and your career progression and all that stuff. It gets too technical.
I'm so excited about it. Apparently, NIL is going to be a part of the game.
Oh, geez. All right.
I
I'll turn that one off.
It's like I saw this post the other day. Oh, I'm sure you'll be able to. It was like I can't wait for my D2 school to have $30 billion in funding while I go 14-0 versus Power 5 school.
That's funny. I'll sell my soul to be the best in football, right?
Exactly. It's gonna be good. I'm excited.
All right. Well, that's all we got for today. We will be back next week. We are gonna be back next week, right? Nothing happening? No crazy travel or any of that stuff?
That's not for another chance.
Okay, so a week from today, we're going to do next Thursday. How about that? We'll set it up, the 20th. So we'll talk more about the NFL football. We're going to talk about the finals, which we'll have completed. We're betting. You can go to the bank right now. Go to your sports bet right now and just put all your money on the Celtics to be the series winner, whether you determine it's game 4 or game 5. I don't care, but they're going to win, right? Put all your money on it, right? Is that right? Because nobody has ever come back from this. Anyway, so we're letting you know right now that that's your what do they call it, the master lock pick of the week? I don't know, this lock of the week. Anyway, go ahead.
That's funny.
The lock of the week. Anyway, that's all we have. I want to thank you for listening. This has been a Brain Rock production of Division of Lonely Tree Media. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.